time I just take a moment to go over some of the tech in the M340i. And if you have any questions, once again, please feel free to put them in the comments and I'll answer as best I can. So let's start with the steering wheel here. We have the 3-spoke M Sport steering wheel with the heated steering wheel button there in the middle and also the M logo. On the left side here is are the cruise control buttons, and on the right side here we have our volume control, telephone, the microphone to, I guess, issue commands verbally, and also a menu button here in the middle between the phone and the microphone that will show up on your HUD display. Let me zoom in here to show you the different radio selections, so XM, FM, AM, music collection, or straight to your mobile device. And the steering wheel itself, going back to this, I like the feel of it. It's a little thicker than what was in the F80 even, and I wouldn't mind it being even thicker. I have rather large hands, so it feels pretty good on my hands. I know there have been some people complaining about it being too big and I guess causing hand pain, I guess if you're holding it too tight or for too long. But I like it, thicker the better, right? So it's a great feeling steering wheel. And right here, let's go to the digital dash. I still think Audi has a slight edge with their display using Google Maps. It's a pretty looking display, basically. But BMW, they've done a great job with this also. And if you notice on the right side here, the tachometer, the needle goes in a counterclockwise direction, and that's more than likely to provide space for their nav map in the middle. And also you can also cycle through and display other pieces of data on this dash. For example, it'll show you the radio selection. It can show you the drive mode, also show you the fuel efficiency, driving distance, G-force measurement, and also foot-pounds and horsepower, which I guess would be great for tracking purposes. But I don't plan on tracking this car, so I won't be using that too often. But it is nice to have it there. On the door panel here, we have the lock/unlock door button. And what's different now is instead of just the 2 to open the door, uses 1 to unlock, 2 to open the door. Now it's just 1 click to actually open the whole door, which I don't like, and I'm hoping that that can be either modified or coded out. I prefer to have the 2 clicks. I guess old school. And also we have our seat setting buttons for 2 people, up to 2 profiles. We have our window control buttons, and zooming down here, it's our trunk release button.
Sometimes I seem to be somewhat hard of hearing.
Hold on a second. Hey BMW, goodbye. This thing is very responsive. I'm really impressed by it. So yeah, going back to the car. Right here we have a 10
guidance deactivated.
Thank you. We have a beautiful 10.3-inch display here, which does show like a true black background, and it makes it really easy on the eyes, especially at night. It's very clear. I love it. And I think, once again, I think BMW really did a great job with this. If you notice in the F30, even the F80, they have this pasted on iPad look to it. If you notice here, it's more integrated with the dash, so it kind of flows. It wraps around a little bit here, and it looks like it goes behind our digital dash, exiting over here above the vent. So it's a cleaner look, and I think it's a really great job. Also, this car does have the Harman Kardon speakers. It's a 454 watt sound system, and it sounds pretty good. Not as good as the Bang & Olufsen, but it definitely sounds pretty good, especially with the sound isolation in this car. It's a very quiet cabin, so it definitely helps to bring out some of the details in the music. Right here we have our climate control buttons, and not sure why, but it is the design language I've seen on the Z4 and other in the X3 and X4 models, where the middle buttons have like kind of like an aluminum looking look to them, but the other buttons have like this black plastic. So I'm not sure why in a car that's close to $70,000, why there aren't more soft touch type materials in this car. But I'll get into that later. On the center console here, you have the control pad, so you can hit your media, home, your communications, apps, and for example, if I selected media, it shows you, of course, XM, FM, AM radio, different media selections. The comm button shows you different, as far as if you have a mobile device connected, and telephone, your contacts. The nav, of course, is your navigation, and the map is the map of your area. So it's customizable. I haven't really played around with it too much, but I know you can kind of change the look and feel a little bit. You can control it. It is a touch screen. I prefer not to touch the screen because I don't like leaving fingerprints all over the place. So more than likely I will just use either the voice recognition or use the control pad here on the center console. Next over here is the shift lever, which has a kind of a decent, kind of cool look to it, but once again, it's kind of like has like a plastic feel to it, but it does look nice. The park button is on the shift lever here, the P button, and to the left of that we have our traction control. Also we have our camera, which this is a pretty cool function. I just found today that if I were to hit that button, and this was in my F80, it only had the front camera, so if I were to hit a corner and there's a tight spot, I want to see around that corner, this would enable me to do that. Now in this version, it also has it in the rear, so you can, as you're backing out from a corner, so it's both in the front and the rear, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's take a look at this area here and have a couple of I guess questions and some pet peeves with this. It looks like the map and nav button are those two separate buttons, but they're kind of related, and just wondering if that could have just been one button for the most part. And my main issue really is the buttons themselves. If you notice, they're not separated, it's one piece of plastic. So for example, if I go to push here, I'm pushing the whole piece of plastic. You'd think at this price point, that we would have separate buttons, and I know it's kind of like, just really nitpicking, but I don't think that's really too much to ask for at a close to $70,000 car, if that's what you're asking, price-wise. But other than that, there is pretty cool tech with the car. So, for example, you hit the communications button, comm button, and that brings up your your contact list, your telephone option. Also, you have BMW Assist, BMW messages, mobile devices that are connected to your system. Media, of course, brings up your different media types, was XM radio, FM, AM. Your stored music collection, Bluetooth. Now, you have a stored music collection, but there's no longer a CD player in the car, so I'm not sure how I transfer my CDs to the music collection. That's going to be interesting. To your screen mirroring and mobile devices that you have connected to your, right now, my iPhone, bad robot. You have an app button here, so you have different apps. You have a weather app. I wonder what the weather's gonna be like for the next 4 or 5 days. Oh, rain, 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 and more rain. No, it's not raining. And you also have, the BMW store, so you can go and, I guess, purchase or, download new apps that are available. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know if you can get out of that quickly. Great. And also you have your, car settings, so you get your driving information, trip data, driving style analysis, if you want to do that much, vehicle status, tire pressure, engine oil level, scheduled maintenance, settings, so you can kind of, go through this to configure, different settings in your car, such as driver assistance, I guess, let's go in here. So, speed limit assistant, shows you the current limit, which shows you that in the HUD, and also on the digital, the cockpit live screen. Also, you can set your warning, if you're going above certain amount above the speed limit. maneuvering, how long with the gong, how loud you want the gong to sound. So, there are a ton of options and a ton of things to play with in this car. Like I said, you can spend hours sitting here just trying to configure different settings. This for the Vitalize Relax program and different profiles you can set up, owner's manual and regulatory notes. If you have, I guess, a free, couple of hours, and you can sit here and go through your regulatory notes. Right there already. So yeah, so like I said, there's a bunch of cool things you can do with this. One thing I like is if, let's say I'm going to reverse. And now I have, the rear camera showing like that. Also, we have here different viewing angles. So we have the parking assistant. So if you want to do your parallel parking automatically, it will attempt to do it for you. I have not played with that. I don't think I'm going to. We have the backup assistant, which I did play with that for a minute, and that can be helpful if you pull into a very narrow or tight spot and you have issues, backing out of it. The car will steer you out of it. You would just need to control the brake and the gas pedal. And your camera image settings, so contrast, brightness, parking lot, 8 lines, and also we have more settings here. And here's a pretty cool one, 3D view, which I've not perfected this hand motion yet. You can kind of control it with like an iPhone type maneuver. You pinch and swirl your hands. It's supposed to turn, but it's not working. But you can use the keypad to maneuver and turn around. So you get a nice 3D view of your environment, your surrounding area, and also the car wash view. And I don't think I'll be using that also. If you use automated car washes and you have issues lining your tires up on a conveyor system, this will help guide you. I don't use it, and I don't think I will be using, but it's nice to have, I guess, for somebody who does use automated car washes. And do you have it in a nutshell? Pretty much, you have that's pretty much some of the main screens that we have available to play around with. Also, like I said, one thing is there's in the radio system, there's no longer a CD player here. This is the climate control, and also we have our flashes, hazard flashes right there, and also the our driving aid system here. So like lane departure warning. And one thing to be aware of, if you do have your lane departure warning set, it's very aggressive. So if you go to signal or you go to make a lane change without signaling, and you happen to go over or attempt to go over the lane, the steering wheel will push you back to the middle. And I mean, it will steer you back. So you have to fight with the wheel, and that's kind of a little disconcerting if you're on a highway doing 80 and that happens. So I normally, if I'm doing highway driving, I turn that completely off. If I'm around town, then yeah, I might leave it on. But for the most part, sometimes you have to make a quick lane change, and you may not think to signal when you're doing it, and you got the steering wheel going the opposite direction, and you're in that second delay can cause things to happen, bad things to happen. So yeah, I would for me personally, I won't be using that on the highway. Okay, and next to that we have our park sensor, and then our auto start off and on. Now, once again, in the F30 and F80, that on-off start button, auto start button, you could disable that, and it would just remain off. Thanks to new regulations, you have to hit this button every time you get into the car when you don't want it on. It could be a little bit of a pain, but I guess that's what you have to do right now. And there's a start stop engine button. And there are different drive modes: sport, comfort, eco, and adaptive. And if I cycle through the different drive modes, you'll see the digital dash kind of change to, you know, reflect that. So, you know, here's comfort. Eco turns blue, and you notice that the tach goes away and it's replaced by more of like a miles per gallon measurement. And then adaptive, which is pretty cool. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet, but based on my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, adaptive, what's interesting is it integrates with the nav system. So let's say you're traveling to an area where there's, you know, hairpin turns. The adaptive suspension will then anticipate, you know, the upcoming turn and adapt accordingly to it. So it's pretty cool that, you know, that feature is there now. And then also we have the auto hold, which of course if you're at a stoplight, you can take a foot off the brake and the car will remain in hold position until you hit the gas. And then you have your e-brake. So once again, yeah, this iDrive 7.0 is pretty slick. I think it's a decent upgrade. There have been some glitchy things that have occurred, like I can't use the remote 3D viewing yet. And BMW, I contacted the Genius the other day and they're still working on that feature. So right now I can't use it or even demo that for you. Another cool thing is the Hey BMW function. So let's say you're, you know, traveling, you know, long distance and you're tired, you know, and you can just say, yeah, let's try it here, see if it works. Probably won't work for me today, but hey BMW.
Hello, what can I help you with?
I'm tired.
All right, I have activated the Vitality program.
See, the sun roof opens there. And you got a little techno pop music going, and our LEDs are now green for vitality, keeping you awake. And all the while, I have a nice cool breeze puffing in my face. You gotta love it, right? Okay, enough of that. Sorry, you know, that's just fun. I can I was playing with that the other day, and that probably would come in handy if I'm, you know, driving somewhere, but I don't know, it's just crazy. So yeah, so now you see the LEDs turn back to their normal blue, which is what I currently have it set up as, and they run along the door handle here, along the, you know, the trim line here, a little bit over to the other side. Another cool thing too is if, you know, you open your door while you're out and about, that flashes red. Let no oncoming traffic, especially at night, that, you know, your door is open, and be careful. So that's pretty cool feature. And one other thing we have here is something else I think is a nice feature, but I don't think I'll be using too often, is this digital key. And the purpose of the digital key is to allow you to be able to, you know, use NFC, near field, you know, charge, in order to unlock your doors and to also be able to start your car. I don't know how I feel about using that. I mean, if you drop that within, you know, proximity of your car and somebody finds it, well, then they got your car for free pretty much. So I doubt I would be using that. It's a nice, you know, little card, but that'll be going to my, you know, lockbox at home, and probably won't be touched again until the lease is up. So, but yeah, so I mean, LEDs all throughout the car. You know, nice bright lights. And, you know, I think it's, you know, I know I've been getting a couple of questions in the comment section regarding me coming from an M4. Do I feel like it's a downgrade? And I wouldn't say as much as a downgrade. It's just a point in my life where, you know, the M4, it was a great car. The first couple of years I drove it, I loved it. I still love it. You know, when you're, you know, going into an on-ramp and just, you know, mashing the pedal and the engine's going crazy and the tachometer's, you know, redlining, and everybody's freaking out. This is a loud exhaust. I mean, next thing you're doing 140. That's exhilarating. It's intoxicating, and it just, I love it. I mean, endorphins get released, and it just feels great. But with that being said, I planned on tracking the car, which never occurred. My highway driving is no more than maybe 10-15 minutes max, at the most. So I'm doing a lot of city driving. And when you're in that type of vehicle that's kind of focused more for a track purpose, driving around the city, 25, 35 miles per hour, 2,000 RPM, it's not relaxing. If anything, it's tiring. So I decided I needed to change until I can get an M4, M2, or the next G80 with a daily beater. And until then, as my daily driver, I think that this car, it serves its purpose and serves it very well. I don't have any issue taking my mother-in-law, she's in her 70s, if she needs to run an errand, helping her out, it's relaxing. It can be very comfortable. It's very, very smooth. The B58 inline six is a very smooth engine, and it's great for hauling family members around. If I'm on the highway and I want to act up or just go a little crazy, put in Sport Plus, I get a little bit of that too. So I think this car is a perfect jack of all trades. And when I get a chance to show you the actual like a driving video, you get a chance to see and hear what it's like. But it's not as loud or as wild as the true M car. The exhaust note is somewhat muted in the cabin. It's there, but it's not overpowering. I can have a phone conversation with ease. I can talk to a passenger with no issue. It's comfort, but it also gives you that Jekyll and Hyde type mode where okay, if you want to just run it, then well, you can. And I think down the line, if I do decide to do a tune with the downpipe, I think that would also help to bring out more of the like an M type characteristic, but without being that extreme. So to answer your question, people's questions about transitioning from an M car to an M sport car, it depends on your purpose. If you enjoy the raw, visceral drama, and you want that every day, just that amped up on 10, on 11 every day, then go with the M. If you have the ability to have multiple cars, have your M for fun, have your 340 or super or whatever vehicle as your daily driver, then go that route. I think right now, until the G80 comes out, and I know what that brings to the table, that this car here will definitely hold my interest for the next couple of years with no issue. No problems with that whatsoever. Now, another thing to go over is pricing. Real quickly, this car, it's not fully loaded. I think there were maybe 3 options I didn't check. I didn't go with the tracking and cooling package because I don't intend to track the car. I didn't do the wireless charging, which I'm now kicking myself. I think I should have done that, but I've been hearing a lot of stories from people, horror stories, saying that their phones have been overheating with that feature. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go that route. And also, I didn't do the driving assistance package, which includes like the active cruise control. I almost like autonomous driving, and I had that in my Infiniti, and I didn't really care for it. So I figured that was an extra expense. I'd probably go towards like better tires. So instead of going that route, I got Michelin Pilot Sport summer tires to put on the car. But right now, you see at the base, MSRP is $56,000. And then when you start throwing in I like to tick all the boxes when I do order a car, because I think it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? So when you go down the list here, you got the driving assistance and the premium package and the executive package and doing a remote start, and this other stuff here is included, the M differential and sport brakes. But by the time all is said and done, like I said, this is not even fully loaded. You're hitting $66,000, and you throw in the other 3 options, and you're damn near $70,000. And a lot of dealers right now, they're kind of saying it's a new model. They're not really willing to negotiate. This car is special, blah blah blah. Yeah, every BMW is special in my opinion. Okay, so just make sure when you're searching, that you find a dealer that's, not going to try and, rip you off, that, they are willing to deal. I got about $8,000 off MSRP before incentives. So, it is possible. Just make sure you do your research. As far as how I feel about this compared to my M4, I think BMW, without getting ahead of myself, let me turn the car because
Hello.
voice command is still listening. So, as far as how I feel about this compared to the M4,
Could you repeat that?
I think that BMW knocked this out of the park. I think that, they definitely, got this car as close as possible to an M3, point blank. Is that good? And I believe with the proper tune, if you're doing a Dynan or you do a JB4 or whatever, you can easily start approaching like the mid 400s. It's a B58. It has the ability to get that high and even higher. I believe maybe up to close to 500 horsepower. I think with the tune that this car will be, a definite beast on the road. And, look out for his videos that'll be coming out, as far as showing the, like the actual, driving dynamics of this car. It's a good car. So I would highly recommend that, you do go do a test drive. Keep an open mind. I know people complain about the exterior styling with the front grille and like the back end looking like a Lexus. The pictures don't do this car justice. If you just see it in person, it's a very stylish, very beautiful car. I think it's a head turner, especially depending on what color you have. There's like, Portimao blue, there's a Dravid gray, and it's definitely something worth checking out. And like I said, if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Please look forward to me making more videos with this car, especially more driving videos, and giving you just a sample of what the sport exhaust sounds like when it's in motion. And yeah, so like I said, check it out, and thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and see you guys later.